Day and welcome to the ACB Caribbean Simply Smarter Business webinar series. We're so happy you could join us today, and this is the third in the series, and the topic today is creating a smart business plan. And this came about because of the barrage of questions that we get on a continuous basis about this particular topic. So we reached out to our very, very knowledgeable Miss Cassandra P. who is a financial expert and can give us some tips and tricks and guide us on how we can create a business plan to help carry our business forward for whatever reason we need it. You know, if it's secure financing or, you know, for us to actually plan how we want to move forward with this business, it's a very, very useful tool. So again, thank you for being here. I'm just going to go through the house rules with you. First of all, we're going to do a Q&A session at the end of Ms. Simon's presentation. We are going to use the Q&A feature, not the chat. Use the Q&A feature. And I will read your questions to Ms. Simon, and we will respond to any question that is on topic. If you have questions that are not related to this particular subject matter, we still want to hear from you. So I'm going to provide you with an email so that you can send those questions to us, and we will definitely get back to you within the near future. You can also expect a survey from us, which we plan to issue within the next few days to get your feedback on how we did today and get a better understanding of how we can improve and how we can continue to serve you. So without further ado, I would like to hand over to Cassandra P. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Marita. I almost looked behind me to see who you're talking about. You know, expert, knowledgeable. I was like, is that me? Right, but welcome again. I would like to express Marita's sentiments about thank you for being here. Business plans, oh my gosh. First off, it's not, let's just get ourselves into the right mindset, okay? Get ourselves in the right mindset about this taboo subject that everybody feels is so difficult to do. It is not that difficult. Repeat after me. It is not that difficult. So I have named my presentation this evening, The Plan, and you'll see why as I go along. Okay. So in my other life, I was, my first job actually, I was a DJ. So Marita and Cindy just learned something new about me. Yes, I was DJ Cassandra. And I worked at ABS and I moved eventually, didn't like DJing, it's not me. And I moved eventually into the newsroom. And I had an editor who taught me every story has 5 W's and 1 H. So I remember it as being who did what, where, why, and how. Now, there's no where in my agenda because obviously you decide where you want to come up with that brilliant business idea that you need to do a plan for. And because I want to judge the mindset of the persons I have in the audience today, I have asked the tech team to run a poll. So immediately I can tell exactly where our mindset is. So we have our first poll, Sidlo, if you can run it. Pretty much is asking you if you have a plan. Yes, no. Can you do another one for me, Sidlo? Working on it. Let me see if anybody has one in progress. You probably can stop it and just put that one in for me. Okay. So, well, the ones that I have, not that bad. So 47% of the persons have a plan and 53% do not have a plan. Okay, so I know what I'm dealing with. Now, if you realize I asked if you had a plan, I didn't ask you if you had a business plan. So I could actually have been speaking about your plan for retirement. So as you can see from the gray here in my head, I'm at that age now where my plan is for retirement. I mean, I'm seriously trying my best to make sure that when I retire, you don't hear me on the radio talking about when is Social Security going to pay me. So your plan, the plan I'm asking about, could have actually been your plan for retirement. And what I want you to sort of focus on is that in life, all of us have a plan from the time we were born. So this graph here is one called the human life cycle. Somewhere along the line, our parents would have planned for us. You know, someone may have wanted a girl, some may have wanted a boy. All men want boys to carry on their names, but when they do be honest with themselves, they do admit that girls are so much more loving than boys are, at least to the fathers. And from what I hear nowadays, you actually have to plan from the time you are pregnant for which school your child is going to go for primary school education. So the plan is real. And as we travel through life, we talk about education, our career, then retirement, and obviously at the end of it all, we have to probably have a funeral plan or some sort of retirement or end of life plan. So the same way we plan for our life, it is the same way we need to plan for this business. And if planning for our life is not difficult, planning for our business also is not difficult. So we're talking now about a business plan. And who is the business plan for? Sidlow, this is my next poll for you. I want to see your mindset here. Who is the business plan for? Okay, perfect. I believe a lot of persons who are on this webinar would either have listened to me before or they have the right mindset. But excellent. I'm very happy to see that 80% of you realize that the plan is for you. You can close that, Sidlow, please. So one of the reasons, I don't know if you have ever heard me say that, but I no longer do business plans is exactly for that reason. Persons will call and say, oh, I want a business plan. For whom? The bank. So why do a plan for the business? First of all, I want to think of the plan as your GPS. Nowadays, I am very off now because I relocated the office. And for persons who don't know where I am, I say, fine, don't worry, I'll send you a GPS locator. And they always say, oh, it was so easy. So the plan is like your GPS for your business. Exactly where you're going. Steps, direction, start here, start now, turn, reposition. You know, you take GPS, especially when you're traveling in the States. When you're in the States, it tells you turn left the next 900 meters. That is the way you need to think about your plan. Your plan allows you to create an effective strategy for growth. Normally, business plans focus on detailed 12-month. The first 12 months are detailed by month. And then you are also asked to do a 3-year summary of your business. You need to determine your future financial needs. Now, very often I heard people saying, oh, banks don't want to lend money to small businesses. Banks don't this and banks don't that. Have you ever put pen to paper and determine what your financial needs are? When I decided to go into accounting for myself, working for myself, I did that. And I realized the only additional thing I needed to go from what I was personally to what I wanted to be in the immediate timeline was a fax line. I already had a 4-in-1 printer, because obviously when you have children in school, you need some sort of printing device. I had a 4-in-1 printer. So I got a fax line, I hooked it up. I had a desk in my garage. So I already had a space to work. I had a computer already. What else did I need? I had a home phone, which I used for a business phone. So the only thing I needed was to get a fax line. Did I need to go and get financing for that? No. So lots of times we say to ourselves, oh, we can't start this business because we won't get money from the bank. Banks don't lend and there's no investment opportunity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Without having first determined what exactly our needs are and how much it's gonna cost. Your plan also allows you to assign responsibilities. And as much as we think we can do all of it and we can be all to everybody, that's a futile dream. Futile dream. Your plan allows you to focus on deadlines. It also allows you to set milestones. And if you realize I've done it the very last bullet point in this slide, it can help you get funding from angel investors, family member, venture capital funding, and even from banks. But if you have not done the plan, it doesn't make any sense you go in and trying to get financing, because what's going to happen? You probably will fail. If your plan does not work for you, it's not going to work for these investors either. So this is a guy I saw on Facebook. It was actually one of my Facebook friends, and I said to him, I'm going to borrow it. And right out, I mean, he looks like a successful businessman. I mean, his office looks very nice. Well, you know, his dress, he has a very expensive looking piece of art on that wall. The colors are beautiful. The floor is clean. And he tells you, starting up and running a successful business puts incredible strain on personal lives and relationships, the work-life balance. So even when you do your plan, do not focus only on the financial aspect of it. Do not focus only on making a ton of money. Do not focus on hiring X amount of employees. You have to also put in that plan somehow, somewhere, where you are going to be able to achieve a work-life balance. Too many times the spouse is out there trying to make money to give the household everything they can get, but the children and the wife feel neglected, or the husband feels neglected. So remember that in your plan, you need to make sure it makes sense that you can achieve a work-life balance. It's not something that's often talked about, but it's something that you have to be conscious of, that you do need to make sure you're not working 18 hours a day at this business. When should you write a plan? So this is the first, the second W. When should you write a plan? And what I have highlighted is what I want you to take away from. Anytime you can benefit from more focus and direction. So yes, you do a plan when you're starting the business, or you think you want to start a business, but somewhere during the life cycle of that business, you may actually want to refocus yourself on that plan. Do you diversify? Do you stay as what you are? Do you add more products? Do you add additional service? Do you get new employees? Do you move location? These are a lot of things that you need to think about. So whenever you feel that you need to refocus yourself, revisit the plan. You don't have to write it from scratch. You just need to change your timeline, change some sort of strategy, but not only when you start the business, but any time during the life cycle of the business, you can revisit your business plan. So this slide talks about when again, right? And the whole life cycle of your business. So I just said, when is the right time to do a business plan? And it says anytime where you feel you need to refocus. So normally, seed and development, that is when the idea comes around, the conceptual stage of the business. You start the business. Obviously, you don't expect the business to stay stagnant. So it's going to grow, it's going to establish. Should you expand? And that's a question. I've seen local cases of businesses that have expanded to the point that they have failed. They've stretched themselves too much outside of the resources that they have. So do I need to expand? Do I want to expand? Can I manage an expansion? An expansion doesn't normally have to be that you change location. It could be something as simple as a new product or a new service. So this is the time when you have a business plan and you're making these monumental decisions in terms of expansion that you may need to revisit it. And there's sometimes too, and this is the last part of the maturity part of the business cycle, when the business has been seeing great profit and you may continue to expand or you may choose to exit. And that's something else you have to think about, succession planning. Now, you don't have to have a child that wants to take over the business. Too many businesses are based on that model. Oh, my son or my daughter will come and take it over. Nothing says your son and daughter has an interest in taking over your business. But there's nothing wrong with selling your business as a going concern. So rather than letting the business stay stagnant, rather than having the business going down, rather than having the business fail because you're waiting for your children to come and take it over, while it is making profit, consider selling it. This is another time when you may want to look back at your business plan and see, okay, fine, where else am I going after this? Am I going to work until I'm 80 in this business? Am I going to retire in this business? Am I going to be taken out of this business on a stretcher? Or do I want to have time to enjoy my golden years? Several times within the life cycle of a business that you actually can go back and revisit your business plan. So who should write the plan? And this is my pet peeve. The person or persons responsible for implementing the plan should be heavily involved in its development. So here is it, and this is an actual call. Ring, 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 Accounting Solutions, how can we help you? You do business plans? Yes, we do. How much it is and how long it takes before you finish it? Okay, I think we need to have a meeting. I think I need to understand your business. I'm in construction. How long will it take? Do you think I have a plan on the shelf that I can pull down and just give it to you? No, it doesn't work that way. So even if you need to hire a consultant, even if you need to hire me, my advice always is try as much as possible to do at least a narrative, because there are lots of assumptions. You have to sell your dream. I am a Toastmaster, and I think I have the record for having the most mentees at any single time. The very first speech that a Toastmaster gives is an icebreaker, where you introduce yourself to the club, get it comfortable to speak in front of an audience. And when my mentees are fearful of doing that, I say to them, you're speaking about yourself. Who knows you better than you? See, I got that covered. So all you have to worry about now is speaking and how to tell your story. So similarly, it is your business, it is your dream, it is your idea. Who can sell it better than you? So what I need you to do, if you want to hire me and you don't want to try it yourself, which I think is very easy for you to try it yourself, is at least do the first part of it, this being the narratives, the assumptions, the market, the competition, whatever not. And once you can sell me your idea, I can do the finances. But I can't take your business, tell me you're into construction, or you have a store, or you have a small shop or whatever not, and just pull a plan and give it to you. That's not possible. So the person who should write the plan is the person or persons who have the idea, the person or persons who will be implementing the idea. I see a Q&A, Marita. Should I stop and answer it or at the end? Or you will, what does it go? Would you prompt me? Okay, so I'll continue. So what should be, this is a W, what should be in the business plan?
Apologies, I'm sorry, I missed the question. Sorry, Director.
So I was saying that there is I see something in the Q&A. So I was asking whether you're gonna interrupt me or we wait until the end to take the Q&A.
Oh, what I was saying in the intro just reinforces that we're going to let her finish her presentation, and at the end, we will go through your questions.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Okay.
So what should be included in the plan, right? And this is just really the basic that is there. You can decide to put in anything else you want to put in. If it's not applicable to you, you can take it out. So there's no hard and fast rule. So the executive summary should be there. The company description. I know I had a call, I think 2 weeks ago, where someone wanted a business plan for a bank for the purpose of opening a bank account. And they said, well, the bank indicated that just the executive summary is fine. I said, well, I think you can do it yourself. But everybody I speak to says it's a hard thing. No, it is not a hard thing. So your executive summary, your company description, you don't have to worry about taking screenshots or anything like that, because I actually have practical examples of actual plans that I'll go through after I finish my presentation. So we will know exactly what each of these mean and how they look. So your competitor and market analysis, and I wanted to stop and say something about that. Lots of people feel that because they come up with an idea, their idea is unique, and probably it is. But then you have to also consider how long will your idea be unique. It's like when you decide to paint your house, change your paint color. We drive around on a Sunday afternoon and we find a color we like. That's the same thing with business ideas. People stay outside, they look, they think that your business is doing very well, and they want to see how they can come in and compete with you. And lots of times they don't have the same markup like yourself. So take, for instance, a store on Market Street that has employees and they have rent to pay, and obviously utilities are high because they're letting you shop in air-conditioned comfort, as opposed to somebody who's at Bendong or somebody who operates on Facebook. So you definitely have to look at your competitor and market analysis, because that indicates just how viable your business is in the short term and also in the long term. Details of your organization and management. Lots of person will tell me, oh, I have a company. Know the difference between the organizational status. So you have a company if you've gone to an attorney, if you have taken an oath to indicate you are sound mind and can be director, if you have a company limited by shares, you've signed on to an articles of association, if you have bylaws. So no, I can't do a company organization. I can't incorporate a company. I have to get an attorney involved, because the attorney has to organize someone taking the oath before them. I can assist you with registering an unincorporated business, which could be a sole proprietorship being one person, or it could be two persons, which then make it a firm. Why is it important to know the distinction? It affects your tax status. So if you're an unincorporated entity, you're paying tax under the unincorporated business tax. Your Social Security as an unincorporated person is 10%. If you are a company and an employee, your Social Security contribution is 6.25% for this year. So you see the difference. For medical benefits, unincorporated, sole trader, you're paying 5%. If you're a company and you're an employee, you're paying 3.5%. So there is definitely a distinction there that we need to take into account. You need to obviously sell your products and your services. Are you selling a product? Is it unique? Is it a service that nobody else has? Or you're adding something extra that makes you the best thing since sliced bread was invented? How do you intend to market? Because don't consider that if you build it or I start a store, everybody's gonna come and shop. I mean, you will see on Facebook, ACB did a very good job of marketing this. And yesterday, Monday actually, I had a consultation and the client said to me, oh, I saw you on Instagram. No, I'm not on Instagram, so I didn't see myself on Instagram, but I was informed that I was on Instagram. So now I say, hey, I may as well go on Instagram. Hopefully I was on Twitter too. And then lastly, but obviously not least, your funding requests and your financial projections. Now, why is this last? Because your funding is very much dependent on all the other things that you have said. If you decide you're going to have a big campaign, it costs money. If your management consists of a product manager, a sales manager, an HR&R manager, that costs money, because these people, by the time you say manager, you talk about management salary. So your funding request, which is where I can come in, is very much dependent on everything that has gone before. But what has gone before, that really has to be your responsibility. Cannot be a consultant responsibility. The consultant can review, they can advise, they can ask questions, they can put it up. But the basis of it has to be the person whose idea it is, not the consultant. So how do I do this plan? Now, if you go to PowerPoint, and I actually have a few of them, 2 of them at least, I downloaded from PowerPoint. So if you have Microsoft Office that comes with Excel and Word, whatever not, it comes with PowerPoint. And all I did was go and say, File, New, type into the search button, Business Plan. And I actually got 2 of them, which I'm going to share with you today. So they're templates. They sort of guide you in terms of define what you can put on this executive plan, what you should be concerned about. And all you have to do really is just type over what they have. Right. So I'm going to demonstrate 2 such plans, and you can also pay for it. I have another one, costs $40 US. It's in Excel. I rather like it because it links a lot, and it also has the financial aspect in it. And if all else fails, hire a consultant. But as I said before, if you decide to hire a consultant, at the very least, Do the first 6 topics of this before you go to a consultant for the funding requirements. One of the things I also want to say to you is that when you're hiring a consultant, I've had situations where persons have come to me with their financial plan and nothing at all in terms of the market. And I've said it all the time. I use it as a classic example of somebody not putting enough thought process into their business plan. So here is it. Young man comes to me. He has his financial projections. He's going to be making $45,000 each and every month, selling a specially printed t-shirts at $70 each. Do the math on that. How many t-shirts does he have to sell at $70 to make $45,000? There's no backup to the plan. He has to say to me his market. So I'm asking him, fine, is this a tourism product or is it a product that's going to be done for locals? He indicated it's for locals. What is our population in Antigua? And then when you think about the population in Antigua, which let's say is 100, maybe 110,000 persons, how many persons in that 110 are in the age group that are going to go wild over a special printed t-shirt and pay $70 for it? I know I wouldn't. So right away, he hasn't looked at his market. He hasn't looked at the competition. I mean, do people really want a specially printed t-shirt? And then what he did too, he went very much overboard in terms of his income, $45,000 each and every month, but his expenses were extremely low. He didn't even have something in it for telephone. He had nothing in it because you're going to select your special print for that t-shirt on the website, but there was nothing in the financial plan for website development nor website hosting. There was not even nothing in there for telephone. So how are people going to call you? Well, I'm going to use my cell phone. Your cell phone has a cost. So I always say, be very conservative with your income. Go overboard with your expenses. Every contingency and then put another 10% for any miscellaneous that's unseen. And if after you've done that, and the plan, you're making money from that plan, run with it. If you're break even on the plan, I would say to you, tweak it and continue with it. If you're making a loss in the first year, but you're going to be profitable in the second year, go with it. But it's very, I would say unfortunate. It is, I would say foolish. It's very foolish for you to start in a business, and I've known this to happen. Persons have actually gone to family members, borrowed from their parents with the thought process, when the business is successful, I'll pay you back. And the parents have gone to the bank and taken every cent of their retirement income and put into that business. The business has failed. And obviously now there is almost, there's an acrimonious relationship between the parents and the children, because we can't live. I mean, a parent has had to go back to work, find work in order for them just to meet their day-by-day needs. Do you want to be responsible for doing that to your parents or even a relative? Obviously, there was no plan in that situation. So just remember, do your plan. So in summary, the business plan is yours. You need to own it. If you can conceptualize a business idea, you can plan for its success. And the way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. So I know a lot of you on here have great ideas, probably business idea that can work, business idea that should have started even before COVID, should have started during COVID, but all you're doing is talking and you have stopped doing. But the fact you're here today, I hope is the first step in you actually starting to do something. And next time I see you or next time I hear of you, you've had a loan from ACB, I'll be coming in to either dine at your restaurant or shop in your establishment or use your service, for that matter of fact, and be able to use your service for the next 5, 10, 15 years, until death do us part. So now I'm going to actually demonstrate the plan I said to you I was able to download from PowerPoint. And just so you know, I'm not lying. All I did was go to File. Sido, can you confirm you can see my my screen?
Yes, I can.
Is it the one that says, no, I don't think it's in the right one. Is it the one that says company name?
Yeah, you just had it up and it's back
Okay.
up again.
Yes, okay, fine. So all I did with this one, I went into PowerPoint, I said file, new, and I typed in business plan, and it came up with this template. So here it is. If I download this template, it's actually 14 slides. You can add or you can take away. It says, obviously, your company name or your business name. The next part of it is your business concept. So where some people would say executive summary, your business concept is actually, let me just go to the other one. Your business concept is actually like your executive summary. So this is where you summarize the key product, the service, the technology, your concept, or the strategy on which your business is based. Clearly state your company's long-term mission. Now, I know a lot of people have, and I do till up to now, I still do, difference between mission and vision statement. This is something you can research. Go on Google. Google is your friend, and see if you find something that's close to what you're thinking of. If you can't come up with anything, it is not something that is required for the business plan, is desirable, leave it out. Your market summary. Who are the major players in the market now? Are they competing with you? Are there any market shifts? What are the costs, the pricing, the competition that can provide the opportunity for your company's success? So here it is. I like this because it's telling you competition can provide the opportunity for your company's success. Because if you have a monopoly, and everybody know in the days gone by, I won't call the telecommunication name, when there was a monopoly, just how high telephone rates were, overseas rates were. Now everybody have Wi-Fi, everybody doing things on WhatsApp. So I don't know of anybody really making an overseas telephone call from a landline. Fact is, hardly anybody has a landline anymore. So competition sometimes can be an opportunity for your business success. Identify problems, because obviously it's not going to be all good. There will be problems. Identify problems and opportunities. So you say, well, listen, what is the problem I'm trying to solve? And I remember a friend of mine that actually had a business. And what he said to me, it was, he was making mustard screens. He wanted mustard screens for his home. And when he realized just how few offerings there were and the length of time he had to wait to get these mustard screens, he said, heck, might as well I do it myself. So he started, he had 2 young guys and he started making mustard screens. So sometimes your problem can create an opportunity, because if you have that problem, obviously someone else may have the same problem. Competition. Outline your company's competitive advantage. What makes you different from that other person? Am I mobile? I mean, that's something that has actually happened with COVID. I mean, before COVID, even though I knew of Zoom, I didn't know of the possibilities of Zoom. So Zoom obviously is probably making a mint off of COVID, and the fact that everybody now pretty much has signed up for an account, because hardly any meeting goes for 40 minutes, which is what the free account allows you to do. But then again, somebody else may not have that same opportunity, in that no person are working at home, somebody who's a landlord and had an office space rented may have lost that tenant and may have to repurpose. So when COVID came around, I'm quite sure a lot of persons had to take off their business plan, dust it off, and come up with something new. I mean, I see people doing seasoning and all sort of stuff there. I know this young lady actually started doing butters after COVID, and she lost her job. There's another lady, and I buy her roti. She actually pitched a tent and she's doing roti at the side of the road. Very nice roti, in fact. So a lot of persons have had to either come up with business ideas because of the COVID, what happened, loss of job, et cetera, but I'm sure they would have looked at their competitive advantage in terms of, okay, fine, lots of persons are doing food, lots of persons are doing jerk chicken, fried chicken, whatever not. What can I do different? So maybe not doing fried chicken, they're adding a mango sauce, a tamarind sauce, a raspberry sauce, adding some cheesy fries or stuffed chicken wings. I saw somebody offering that the other day. So what is your competitive advantage? What makes your restaurant different from all the other restaurants that's there? Are you serving fungi or are you serving polenta? Which obviously is fungi as well, just a nice name. List your 5-year goals. So your business plan is not just about this year, 2022, which only has 6 months to go. State your specific measurable objectives, what we call SMART. They must be specific, they must be time bound, and they must be realistic as well. How much of the market do you think you can capture? And I know sometimes when we look at our goals and objectives, people saying, well, I'm just starting out. I don't have a business. I don't have no statistics. Again, the internet is such a wonderful tool. Research on the internet. There are lots of groups buying, selling Antigua, swap and whatever not, customer service, jobs available in Antigua and Barbuda. And even though they have specific names, it was surprised to know some of the things that people post in it and some of the comments that are made. And those are things that give you ideas. Go among your family and your friends and do a focus group. Hypothetically, if somebody, not you, if somebody was to whatever not, would you be interested? And that is how you can gauge yourself. So if you have 5 friends that you've asked that question to, and 4 of the 5 are interested, that is 80%. Extrapolate that to the population in Antigua and Barbuda. 80% of the population of Antigua and Barbuda, give or take 1 or 2%, would be interested in your product. And that is how you do it without any sort of statistics. And once you've gotten your potential market, everything else comes into focus. How much you're going to sell it for? At 80% of the population, 110,000 persons in Antigua and Barbuda, how much money exactly can you be making as revenue? The team, and this is important as well, do these people have the skill set? Now, sometimes you don't have to be in charge of your business. You can be a silent investor. It is your idea. You go forward, you do the plan in terms of what you want to happen, but it could be your CEO and your management team. There could be relatives, there could be friends, there could be people you advertise in the paper and say, heck, I'm looking for these people. You're a silent investor and you reap the profit, but they are doing the work under your direction. So it doesn't always have to be that, oh, you have to do everything. So you include the previous accomplishment to show that these are people with a record of success. So either they've accomplished it or they have the capability to accomplish it. And you summarize a number of years of experience in the particular field. So you're trying to say, listen, I have the right product, I have the right team. Because if you have the right product and you don't have the right team, you don't have the right marketing, you will not sell that product. So here is it, the organizational chart, and yours obviously doesn't have to be as fancy as this. You take out what you don't need. You don't have to have a name as a president or a CEO. You say, listen, this is the man in charge, chief cook and bottle washer. I have an accountant, or even if you're outsourcing it. So let's say you're outsourcing your accounting, you're outsourcing your marketing, you're using an HR professional to do things like your job descriptions, your employment letter, your employment handbook. You put that, because then it's easy for you to outsource, because then you find the right person, because this person obviously has a lot of skill set in that they have experience, they have a number of clients, so they will know exactly what you need for that particular part of it. And it's probably cheaper as well, because you outsource, you pay for the service you get, you don't have to have somebody on staff getting paid 12 months a year with all the statutory deductions, the thrift fund, the medical insurance, et cetera, et cetera. So especially when you're starting out, you may want to keep your payroll, and payroll cost is the single highest expense that any business has. So your cost of sales, the goods that you purchase may be high, but that's not an expense, because if you don't purchase the goods, you cannot sell them. But outside of the goods you purchase, the single highest expense for each and every organization is payroll expense. So it's something you really and truly need to consider. Do I need these people full time, or can I get the same quality of service by outsourcing it? Your cleaning products, cleaning services, your HR services can be outsourced, your IT services can be outsourced. Now, your resource requirements. Recall earlier I said that the only thing I needed when I started my business was a fax line. So what personnel do you need? What technology do you need? I already had a technology. I had accounting software, I had a computer, I had a printer, I had a landline, and all I needed was a fax line. Finances. I think I paid $60 a deposit for the fax line, and $60 per month before ABS, that was quite a while ago, was what my cost was. So I didn't need to go to a bank to do that. Distribution. Now I decided I was gonna more go to my clients rather than having my clients come to me. So I needed to obviously have a vehicle to be able to go to them. I already had a vehicle, so I didn't need to purchase a vehicle. Promotion. I went and I did a Yellow Pages listing. Obviously, I had a fax line and I listed my telephone numbers on the business name in the Yellow Pages. So that was my promotion. And over time, what I have noticed, so for the last 2 years, I've actually declined to advertise in Yellow Pages, because when I get a new client, invariably, I don't have to ask them how they heard about me. It's like, I got your name from X, Y, and Z. So referrals is where most of my promotion comes from. I will tell you 99.5% of my promotion. I've been in business since 2004. And in that time period, I think 4 persons have said to me, I found you in the Yellow Pages. So when I look at value for money, the Yellow Pages was not giving me value for money. So I stopped doing it. I do my ordinary Yellow Pages listing rather than and bolded and red and all this other stuff there. I'm entitled to one as a business. You pay $60 a month and you get a free listing in the Yellow Pages. So I do that and I'm listed in the White Pages, and that is it. Products, I don't offer a product per se. Occasionally a client may say, well, listen, can you purchase an accounting software and install and do a training? That's just a reimbursement of my expense. I don't offer a product. What I do, I offer services. So I do audits, I do review, I do payroll, and sometimes people come with some unusual requests, and I say, that's a challenge, and I love a challenge. And I'll say, let me research and get back to you. And if I can, yes, I do it. So this is once you have listed the requirements for the following resources, what do you need? How much personnel do you need? It's going to be yourself, you're going to use your wife, you have a child in school that's doing IT accounting, so your account is going to be done by that child. Maybe you're coming out, you say to me, heck, can you train her to do something? Can you show her what she needs to do? At the end of the year, you come to me to do your financial statements for the bank or for your tax return, but you can use one of your school-age children who are doing accounting, give them the in-hand, real-time experience. What do you need for technology? Are you going to be doing your technology and your promotion go hand in hand? Are you going to be doing social media marketing? Are you going to be doing it via a web page? So these are questions you have to answer for yourself. A consultant cannot answer them. They can guide you. They can ask you some questions that allow you to think. But at the end of the day, the decision has to be yours. And obviously, your financial plan. And this is what I would think maybe a little bit difficult, maybe a little bit challenging, but the rest of it, it's your plan. You need to own it. And it'll tell you as well, it's a high-level plan that defines your financial model and your pricing assumptions. So say something as simple as you're doing a building you're going to rent. What is the rental rate in similar location? If you're on Fry's Hill Road, which is now the new Golden Mile, what is the comparative rental rate in that location? So then you have a base to go with. Just how many units do you have? And obviously you know too, if you're renting, let's say you have a 2-story building, the bottom floor carries a higher rate than the top floor, because obviously the bottom floor is at eye level. Everybody, as soon as they're walking, can see you. They have to actually strain their neck and look up to see who is on the second floor. Even downtown in Heritage Key, that is how it goes. The bottom floor carries a higher rate than the top floor, because sometimes I have bad knees, I don't want to go upstairs. So these are the kind of things you have to think about when you're doing your pricing assumption. Does it make sense? How many persons are going to buy a t-shirt for $70? And are they going to buy a t-shirt every month? Or are they going to buy that kind of t-shirt at a special occasion? Carnival coming up, all of us want new clothes, lots of fat. Maybe we'll do a couple of t-shirts Carnival, but after Carnival, what happens? So seasonality too of your service or your product, you have to consider. Because even in my field, I do have seasonality. My high season is between September and March, because that's the tax season. After that, I mean, it's not as high. I do still have work, because I have a few non-September, non-December, October, November year ends, and there are other things that I do that fit in during that time. But I know when I make the bulk of my money. I know when I need it, all hands on deck. I know when we have to really put in the hours, weekends, late nights, I know when that is. So if I was going to do my financial plan, I would know based on history, not only history, let's say I was starting afresh and I know my service, I was going to offer taxation services. I know if you're a UBT client, your year end is December, you must file by March. So between February and March is going to be my high season. So I will factor in, heck, I think I can get X amount of clients. This is my standard service for a tax return if I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And that's the month I know I'm making money. Then after that, now I have to tone it down. Maybe I have some ABST to assist with. Maybe I have payroll to assist with. Maybe I have some training to do. And that sort of way. But in every business, there probably is going to be some sort of seasonality. Christmas time in supermarkets make a ton of money. That's why you have ABST reduction weekend, because we go overboard. We need our rum because people are coming. We need our raisins to make our cake. We need the ham. We need the turkey. We plan the Christmas dinner. So December is when a lot of people shop. The car dealership, because we were expecting to have the ABST weekend, people go and buy cars because 15% off of a car. Well, not 59%, because it's a 5% tax rate at that time. That is quite a lot when you're talking about a vehicle costing 100,000. So you can actually predict the month when you're going to be making money, right? Nothing comes without risk, and the more risk is just like investment. The higher the risk is the greater the rate of return. And you cannot do a business plan without saying that. You must show that you have at least addressed your risk. If you have a monopoly, let's say you're offering a service and the government has said, okay, fine, we endorse this service, and for the next 10 years, we're going to protect you. Like Lee-Win Paints had protection for years, and not only protection, extended protection. And then when the protection ended, Lee-Win Paints could not survive. We had World Cup incentives where a lot of persons went and got World Cup incentives when the World Cup came to Antigua, and they built these small properties. Now, one of the requirements was they had to submit a business plan which indicated how the business would be viable after World Cup. Quite a few of them could not make it in the present model. Luckily, Airbnb came about, and some of them have repurposed themselves and are now doing Airbnb. So those are the kind of things you have to address. There are risks, and with the risk comes rewards, but you cannot go along assuming that everything is risk-free. Okay. The key issues, near term. Remember, your business plan is going to be for at least 5 years. If you postpone the decision, what are the consequences? Like I'm doing my kitchen now, and I postponed since 5 years ago, my kitchen was supposed to be redone. Then my daughter started building, and I held off on my kitchen so that she could finish, and I could assist her if she had any overruns. Then my son started building, I did the same thing with him. And now my kitchen needed to be done, not what the need that the kitchen had to be done. The cupboards were falling apart, et cetera, et cetera. I'm now faced with supply chain issues as well as increased costs because everything has gone up, but now it's a need. So the consequence of my postponing my decision is that my kitchen probably is going to cost me twice as what it would have cost 5 years ago. And that's a real issue. Now, there's some things we cannot predict because who in our lifetime, the last time there was a pandemic was 1918 or 1918, yes. There are not many persons alive today that were alive in 1918. And even if they were alive, they would have been babies. They don't have the experience. All they may know is that their parents may have said something about the Spanish flu. So we didn't have that experience. So COVID is something that none of us could have predicted. But we can predict things like hurricane because we are in a hurricane belt. So is hurricane something that can affect your business? I mean, if you're in a location that is subject to flooding, can that affect your business? So there are certain things, lack of insurance. And I know a lot of persons don't believe in insurance. It's what helps you sleep well at night. But you have to understand, particularly when you talk about risks and rewards, you cannot expect to pay $2,000 policy and get $100,000 refund from an insurance. What the insurance does is mitigate your loss. So I know of a person as a client of mine that did not believe in insurance. Someone came into his location and got injured, and he was threatened with a lawsuit, and his lawyer advised him pay, because by the time we finish going lawyer and paying legal fees, whatever not, what they're asking for would be it. He went promptly and got public liability insurance. So these are other things that you should consider in your business plan. because each and every person that comes into your, from the time they step through the door, you have a liability to them. You have the obligation to keep them safe in your store. I'm sure you see it all the time in the US when they slip, they caution, wet floor, and they slip and they fall, and you're still responsible for that. Now, if you have insurance, insurance takes care of it. Workman comp as well. Every time you get a sick certificate, read it properly. The doctor has to indicate whether your illness or your injury is a result of workplace injury. If it's a result of workplace injury, Social Security is not responsible. They will not pay that employee. You are responsible for 2/3 of the employee's wages, for the employee's medical bills, and if the employee is unable to come back to work, you have to pretty much pay off that employee. It's a lot of money. So if you don't have workman comp insurance, that is a liability that you would have to take out of pocket, and that may actually send the business into bankruptcy. So those are things you should consider as well in your business plan. So next thing you should really have is an appendix, like our summary, reference key materials, and references, resources that you have used in your business plan. So this is a blank one that just gives you a guideline. I want to switch, and I'm going to show you one, which I got from PowerPoint as well. I just went new business plan, and this is one that is actually filled out. So this is for a business called Contuso business plan, and it tells you exactly who the person who came up with the business plan, Mirjam Nilsson, was the person that came up. And it's really pretty, as you see. You actually have a nice smiling person, and that pulls you in. So it says, at Contuso, we empower organizations to foster collaborative thinking to drive workplace innovation. We believe that a company should act as a community and use tools to communicate quickly and efficiently. So it sort of gives you an idea of what exactly this company is about just from reading their mission statement. Their management team, and they have named each of them by name. So we have a Takuma Ahashi. Also, the chief executive officer was the one who did this business plan. So who is responsible for the plan? The persons who are responsible for executing it. And the chief executive officer will be that person. The president just looks over, he probably is a silent investor. She is the one that's responsible for executing this plan. So she has taken responsibility for it. The rest of the team, no pictures, but obviously they believe that it's important for them to say, hey, we have people in every department that can handle your needs. The market summary, and again, from the mission statement, you really realize that they were talking about technology and using technology. So they have their market summary, the fact that remote work is more popular than ever. Probably this business came up around COVID time. They're looking at the market trends. They will continue rising based on projections, and it give them opportunity for greater business reach in the region. Their product cost is low, which gives us a market advantage. So they're just giving high level summary, no details. And I know that's one of some person's concern when they don't do market business plan, that they don't go and get professional advice to do their business plan. I have had at least 2 occasions when persons have said to me, they went and both said the same person. I don't know if it's true, I would hope not, but they indicated that they went to this person to do a business plan, and the person stole and sold their ideas. And they were very much adamant. I mean, they were, yes, because I know the person dates somebody I know with my same idea, whatever not. It could be coincidental, but they are very much confident and adamant that the person stole and sold their ideas. So you don't have to give details in terms of, okay, fine, I'm going on the road, I'm gonna buy a digital share or whatever not, just very high level summary of your business plan. The opportunities, the market gap, few, if any, products on the market help customers like we do. 66% of US consumers, so they're telling you 66%, they have done their research. Financials, millennials account for about 1/4 of the $48 billion spent on other products in 2018. Costs, loss of productivity costing consumers thousands of dollars, and usabilities. Customers want something that is easy to use. So they've been very high level with their business plan, and they're telling you, I have all of this. The business overview. This is their concept. next generation data architecture. So we help organizations manage agile workflows. We thrive because of our market knowledge and the great team behind our product. And obviously you've seen the pictures of the team. You know, everybody right there is pretty and they have nice titles, and hopefully they have the experience behind of it. Their goals and objectives, and they've actually used almost like a chart to show it. So like your GPS, draft your blueprints, you run focus groups, gather feedback. So especially when you do not have historical information because it's a new organization, this seems to be a new product, or if they have something new that nobody else has offered, they're running a focus group to get information on it. It doesn't have to be very expensive. Like I said to you, Facebook, do a Facebook group, do a WhatsApp group among your colleagues, your friends, your alumni, you can do it. So they're going to test the design February 2000 XX, launch the design by July, and by December, they'll be able to deliver to the client. So they have done very detailed ball by ball coverage for the first 12 months in terms of what their goals and objectives are. The financials, the key metrics, they're telling you how many clients they expect to have from those 10 clients in 2000 XX, the first year. They expect to get 1,100 orders. From the 1,100 orders, they're making 10,000 in gross revenue. And after expenses, their net would be 7,000. But in the following year, the client base has increased to 20, 10 per year. And obviously the revenue also has increased by that same time. But if you realize the income is not necessarily increasing double. So in the second year, when they have 20 clients, the income is actually, net income is actually 16,000. The number of orders in that year is 200, but I think that's an incremental number. So it's 1,100 in the first year, and they're having 200 additional ones in the second year. So they've actually done it in a different graph as well, so it's very easy for you to see. The financial tables, so give you a little bit more details. So the sales, the average price per sale, the revenue at 15% of that. The expenses, sales and marketing, they're putting a ton of money in sales and marketing. I mean, your gross profit is 5.6 in the first year, but your sales and marketing is 5 million. And you see how pretty much they have increased, because obviously you have to spend money to make money. Customer service, that's big. Product development and research. And you see how the money is going up in research. So yes, they're making money, but in order to make that money, they have to spend money. Now, after they've gotten the actual figures for year one, they may decide to revisit their business plan, just the financial aspect of it. Everything else is fine. They're going to do the same marketing. They're going to do the same expansion, but they may decide to revisit their financial part of it and say, hey, revenue in year 2 is going to be 20%, and revenue in year 3 is going to be 25%. So at any time you feel you need to refocus, that is when you look at your business plan. They talk about the risks and the rewards. Remember the first slide that was just a template spoke about this as well. And the key issues, the near term, the long term. So from these two plans, you can actually see that it's really the same thing in both of them. Maybe not exactly the same, but the same concept. Now, the last business plan I want to show you, and this one, unfortunately, is not free. This is one that is paid for, but it's actually, and this is just a trial version, it's $40 US. If you convert that to EC, you realize it's less than 100, is what? 42.7, let's say half of that, $130, right? So it's less than $130. It is locked because I haven't paid for it. But to me, this too is another example you can use. And you will see here, it has instructions and tells you exactly what to do. So remember earlier I said that the business plan is normally 12 monthly periods. And when they say 5, and you can actually do 4 for 12 plus 4 to give you 5. And it says we've included 12, okay, so 12 monthly, 5 annual. I think the first is annualized. It's also about your assumptions. That to me, if I was supposed to put a score on a business plan and I was going to rate it out of 10, I would tell you the assumptions is 8 out of 10, because that guides the financial aspect of the plan. Without the assumptions, no consultant nor yourself can actually do the business plan. Must have some sort of assumptions. So it guides you again. It tells you here the income statement includes a detailed monthly income statement for 12 monthly periods and 5 annual periods. It also has the ability for you to input things like your sales tax, your receivables, and your payables calculation. So that's another thing too. Unless you're a cash on delivery business, now most persons, that's a selling point for businesses, most persons go to a business that offers them credit. Like I like to use my credit card. Yes, the rate of interest is high, but I don't pay interest. I use my credit card for everything that I'll have to pay cash for. So if I have to pay my utilities via cash, I'm using my credit card to pay that. I gotta buy groceries via cash, I'm using my credit card to pay for that. I pay my insurance via cash or check, I'm using my credit card to pay for it. 2 reasons, I get benefits, well, 3 reasons actually. I get benefits. It's convenient. I don't have to use, go to the ATM or go inside a bank to get cash. I do have the ability to pay it at a later date. So when I know my cycle, I think one of my cards is due for payment on the 11th. The end date is the 21st. So anything I buy from the 22nd of the month to the 11th of the next month, I don't have, well, from the 22nd to the 21st, I don't have to pay until the 11th of the following month. So I'm actually getting almost 40 days credit on that. So people that, or businesses that offer credit tend to find that persons will shop more. Because if I go to the supermarket and I only have $100 in my purse and I intend to pay cash, and when I get to the cash register, as much as you try and add it up in your head, all those point whatever not cents do add up. And when I get to the cashier and she says, well, your bill is $120, I only have 100. I gotta say to help me find, put back that. But if I'm using my credit card, I can spend 120. So by allowing me to use my credit card, allowing me to have credit, is an opportunity for you to sell more because I'm not limited by my available cash at that time. So if you're selling cash, if you're selling on credit, you will have receivables or outstanding collections. And similarly, if you're buying on credit, you have outstanding payables. So this takes all of that into consideration. You'll also even see it has a sheet for loans. So this is an amortization sheet. If it wasn't locked, I could actually show you. Once you put in the amount of money you're borrowing, right? Like you're getting a 1.2 million here, it will automatically calculate your loan payment, show you how much interest you're paying and what is assigned to the principal. And it has even said, hey, maybe you need more than one loan, maybe you need loan 2, maybe you need loan 3, right? Do you have a lease that you're paying? So if you're doing a lease, rent, you put it in there and it populates the sheets for you. This will be a balance sheet, your cash flow. So once you've done, and all of this named at the side are things that are calculated automatically for you based on your assumptions and your inputs. This is $40 US. But again, like I said, all of this will be populated for you based on your assumptions. The assumptions I rate at 8 out of 10. So what your staff costs? So monthly staff costs for the first year need to be entered on the income statement worksheet. Annual projections for year 2 and 5 are based on the expense inflation in the operation expenses section above. So it says, hey, what do you think? Now, you know, let's say, even if your employees, you're just starting, your employees not unionized, the potential is for them to be unionized. But then what you can also do is to determine what is the rate of increase in the business that I am in. The Labor Department can probably give you the statistics by a call. Employees Federation may have the statistics by a call, and then you know that input into your sheet. So as simple as that, $40 US, you can actually get this, and this sheet, once you pay for it, it is available to you forever and ever, amen. I guess you can also share it with persons in your field that you're comfortable sharing with. And this will actually do your business plan because your assumptions are here. Your narrative you do outside of it, but the financial part of it can be done here as detailed as you want. So here is it. We have our balance sheet, 12 month by detail, January to December. And then we have January 22, February 22, year 2022. So then year 20 said 5 annual years. So year 2022 is actually the total of the 12 months. And then you have year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. So it has met your requirements from your lending institution or your investor, or most importantly, for yourself. I'm going to look at the income statement. Is this business making money? Should they run with this idea? So I look at it, the very first month, which is March 2021. Yes, they have made $40,000 that month, $39,000 the next month, 44. And this is after taking account taxation. So they are saying, hey, I am not going to be blind. I do have to pay taxes, and I'm going to account for the taxes that I do have to pay. So you know that this business has been well planned out, well thought out, and they have taken into account every eventuality on it. So when I look at the expenses, interest on loan 1, interest on loan 2, interest on loan 3, interest on the leases, if there are any, depreciation, amortization, wages, salaries, uniforms, training, telephone, subscription. And the good thing about using something like this, sometimes we don't think about certain expenses, but this is actually a guide to us to say, hey, what about that? Do you need that? You know, should you have that? So, and you realize here in the very first month, the professional fees, because obviously they're getting some sort of a, well, let me see, that's the first month. No, that's not the first month. That is in October. I don't know what they have planned in October, but somewhere along the line, the assumptions would explain what is this level of professional fees in October. We're paying $32,000 professional fees. And I see also in the same month, there is $12,000 in training. So the assumptions will give you an explanation as to why you're having that there in that month. And the entertainment as well is $12,000 in October. So October is a big month. And somewhere along the line, I shouldn't have to take up the phone and call and ask anybody what's going on in October. Your business plan, your assumptions should explain to me why we have these fluxes, you know, these unusual expenses in this particular month. Equipment hire in July 2021, 18,000. What are we doing in that month that we need to hire equipment? And then we don't hire equipment for the rest of that period. So obviously there's something happening in that particular month. Maybe whatever is happening in October, we hired equipment to spruce up the place or whatever not. But in October especially, 12,000 in entertainment, 32,000 in professional fees, and there was another big one, training. So maybe it's a course. Maybe we're having a training for our employees to allow them to do our own marketing, to sell up, to do customer care, whatever not, because there's no increase in the cost, in the salary costs. So we haven't hired new employees. We just probably maybe training these existing employees that we have. So I'm hoping, this is my last demonstration. I'm hoping with the 3 templates I've demonstrated. This one, as I said, is not free. It's cost $40 US. The other 2 in PowerPoint, they are free. You go to PowerPoint, you say File, New, Business Plan, and it populates it for you. It brings it to you. Then all you have to do is to use a guideline, get your thinking caps on. And I always say, something borrowed, something new, and even sometimes something blue. Because the template allows you to think. It sort of prompts you, heck, what about your team? You know, what about whatever not, your goals, your risks, your rewards. So if you started doing it from scratch without any sort of guidance, you probably will forget something. So in addition to PowerPoint, in addition to this Excel one I've demonstrated, if you go in Google or Internet Explorer and type in business plan, you get a lot of other examples as well. Just that you have to know, it is your plan. It is not generic. You can't just pull it off of the shelf and say, heck, this one looks close to me. Even if you do that, there may be one that's close to you. There's no 2 persons alike. Even sometimes identical twins have differences, even if it's just personality. So you still have to review it and you have to tailor it and tweak it to your particular situation. So that's it from me today. I will stop sharing, and I see lots of things in the chat and a few things in the Q&A.
Thank you very much. Okay, great. I was trying to get my video to start. So thank you very, very much for that comprehensive and interesting presentation. We've already received a few comments in the chat that have said they've, people are learning so much tonight. So we really do appreciate the effort. What I'm going to do is go into the Q&A session now.
Yes.
And I will start from the order in which they came in. So just bear with me while I scroll. My screen is freezing because of all the things popping up.
Well, I can actually see it, Marita. So I see the first one from an anonymous attendee, and I sort of smile at that one. So it says, how do you go about conducting market research? Is it as simple as calling your competitors and asking questions? Well, I will tell you, if you call your competitors and ask questions, I would think they would tell you go leap off of a cliff. So I wouldn't say you do your competitor, definitely not. Even though I know of situations where some people have used it, maybe a secret shopper, maybe a relative, whatever not, to do an on-site evaluation. Like you probably can, use a relative to go in and probably check their prices and whatever not. But I would caution you about doing that. This thing, a lot of persons, when you ask them, well, how do you decide on what or how much you're gonna sell this product for? And they say, well, I sell it for $5 below what my competitors sell. So how do you know you're making money? I think I said earlier that someone who is in a store in Market Street cannot necessarily compete with someone who is selling on Facebook, because they don't have the costs that they have. If you're on Market Street, you're paying premium rent, because Market Street is pretty much the bridge town of St. John's. It's this broad street in St. John's. You're paying premium rent. You obviously have to have some kind of staff because you can't watch the whole store. So even just a security. So in terms of conducting your market research, you can try a secret shopper in terms of looking at the product your competitor is selling, the price your competitor is selling at. But what you will not be able to get from a secret shopper is exactly your competitor source market in terms of where they're bringing their product in from. And too many times, I remember having this conversation with a client of mine that who actually called me in tears because a customer came in and said that only because the other store didn't have the size she wanted, but then her product was about $40 more than the competitor. And she called me crying. She said, when you see I do my costing, am I doing something wrong? How can they be so much cheaper than I can be? I said, listen, you've done your costing. I've looked at it. It's correct. It's not all the time you can compare yourself with your competitor because they may have an advantage that you don't have. This conversation was on Monday. The Wednesday evening news, that competitor was fined for custom fraud. So you have to sort of be very careful in terms of calling your competitors and asking questions. They won't answer you. And even when you're doing a comparison, know the comparison is limited. So your market research really should be about the competitive products out there or the service, not necessarily the price that you're going to be selling at. Okay, so I see Antoinette is asking if you're doing completely something different. Yes, Antoinette, if it's completely different, you can probably use some of the stuff from your old business plan, like maybe your location is the best. And I would like to say here, it is not often. I used to have this misconception that location was key. In real estate, it says location, location, location. And one time I was doing a session like this, and I spoke about location. And if you're selling Gucci bags, you may want to locate your store in places like, maybe Grace Farm or Point, because those persons may not have the income stream to purchase Gucci bags at the price you're selling at. And a young lady who actually comes from Grace Farm, she said, no, that's where you want to locate it. So sometimes our misconception about persons, we have to take into account as well the culture, because sometimes persons are limited by what they call the glass ceiling. They have one life to live and they spend money on material things. When you say the poor pretty much try to look rich, they spend lots of money trying to look rich, while the rich are rich and don't really care how they look. But if it's something completely different, yes, I would suggest that you start from scratch. And as you're starting from scratch, you can probably pull some stuff from the original plan, maybe things about the fact your location is probably ideal for the new business idea that you're doing. Okay, so would it be possible to obtain a PDF of the thing? Well, I didn't use a PDF, but it's Are you talking about my presentation itself or the examples I sent you? This is Mr. Mac. So if you see the examples I use, as I said, you can actually go to PowerPoint, File, New, type in business plan, where it asks you for what template you're looking for, and download it. So it's not proprietary, it's free in PowerPoint. When I would have created my business plan, how do I get some help with vetting and final presentation? Okay, is that a question you're asking me for help? You can use a consultant. What I would suggest to you first, and it happens to me too, sometimes even an email. I've typed my email and I know exactly what I want to say. I hit send, and then when the person responds to me and I go to look at what I asked them to refresh myself, I'm like, what? I have a misspelled word or I left out a word, and I'm just very grateful that the person actually knew what I was asking about. So when you've done your business plan, first point, vet it for yourself. Read it aloud. So, pretend you're presenting to a Shark Tank audience. If you watch Shark Tank, how they present. Pretend you're presenting to a Shark Tank audience and read it aloud. And when you read it aloud now, you see if it makes sense. And then use a family member, somebody you trust, to vet it and say, hey, how does this sound, whatever not. Or just so to ask them questions for your business plan. If I did this, would you buy? Okay, I have a skill set that is varied, where I'm a software developer, writer, voice actor, as well as provide nutritional and skincare products, and currently investigating a customized product to sell on Amazon. Should I do a separate business plan for each of these segments, or one business plan where each segment is a product or service? Okay, so first let's look at your business model. What's the name of your business? Are you going to use one business to do all of this? Are you going to be just say, well, listen, Cassandra, Simon, whatever not? So if it's a situation that all of these, because they're very varied, software developer, writer, voice actor, nutritional, skincare products, they're very varied. They don't go hand in hand. And just this afternoon, I was having a conversation with someone, and I said to her, I remember once where the reason I don't do business plan anymore, sometimes it's reputational risk. Because when you have somebody coming to you and you're advising them and say, listen, in your present mode, the mode that you have this business plan or the business idea you have, it is not going to work. So this person came, they wanted to buy a business which was no longer a going concern, a business that offered a licensed service. The license they had lost. And I'm saying to him, what exactly are you buying? Because if you have to now go and get the license for yourself, might as well you start a new business, get the license, start in a new location, buy your own equipment, because you're spending money for something that doesn't have any service. One of the things I noticed about him, and he was very adamant he needed to do this, whatever not, and I tried my best to make the business plan make sense, even though I said to him it didn't make sense. And that's the last time I did a business plan, because I should have kicked him out of my office because it didn't make sense. But I remember that person had a 4-part business card. It was like a tent type of card. And just like yours, so one side of the card said software developer, the next side says writer, the next side says skincare products. So when I get a business plan, I get a card like that, it looks to me as if you're a jack of all trades and master of none. So my advice to you would be to do a separate plan for each, and depending on where, because let's say you're a software developer, you don't need any financing for that. You just want to do it for yourself. You want to see if it makes sense. I will say to you, because the market as well is going to be different from all of them. So my suggestion would be do a plan for each of them. It may sound like a lot, but that's the only way. They're just too varied for you to do it together. Your market is different. Your marketing is going to be different. Your rationale, your goals, your long-term is going to be different. So yes, each of them will need a plan, because they're just too, none of them are complementary. Maybe the writer and the voice actor, but none of them are complementary. If you have a small business but no business plan, where do you start? Do you start from the previous year or you start from present? I would say to you, start from present, but what you do have financial information that you can use to do your projection. So you're a little bit better off than persons that are starting from scratch. How vague should a business plan be in the interest of avoiding an idea being stolen? Okay, so the vagueness depends on your audience. If you're doing it, remember your business plan is for you. So you can actually do your business plan for yourself, very, very detailed, because remember it's a roadmap, it's where your assign responsibility is, but then you have a summary for if you're sharing it with someone, just like how the Contuso had a summary if you're doing a thing. What really an investor, lender may be very much interested in is really the financial part of it and whether your assumptions support the financial part. But like I said, I know it's a very real concern about people saying the idea being stolen. Mr. Bailey, where do we get the cash flow template that we need to pay for? Do we buy that from you? No, you don't buy it from me. I will actually look and check and see where, and I can probably post it in the chat because I downloaded this because I actually shared it with a client who called me and said they were looking online for a business plan and they didn't find anything that was close to them. And I said, that's a good idea because if you find a business plan that's very close to you, it means that your idea is not unique and you may actually have more competition than you bargain for. Because the fact that there's a business plan online that is needed, that is available for more than you, then that means that your idea, your business model is very, very popular. How much do people charge an entity to do a complete business plan? Okay, so I'll tell you. Years ago, before ABST, I think maybe 2002, 2003, I was in an audit for a client. And the client paid almost $20,000 for a business plan. I said, can I get a copy? I did not need a copy for the audit. But at that kind of price, I was convinced that that plan was written in gold ink and printed on silver sheet. So the plan cost is really about time spent. So my advice to the person always has been, and I've actually sent people some templates and say, hey, try it yourself. If you can't get through with it, at least do the assumptions. The assumptions are the most important part of the plan. And if you have done your assumptions and all I need to do is a financial plan, it means I take less time. So there's no way somebody can say to you, well, listen, upfront, your business plan is going to cost $10. That spreadsheet that I shared, that is $40 US. It is much less than a consultation fee because consultation fees range between $150 to $200 an hour, and some people even as much as $400 an hour. So it can be very expensive. So as much as you can do for yourself, do it, and then you can come to a consultant for them to assist you in terms of vetting it. Okay, so I think I answered that question as well, Ms. King. Does a business plan always include financial projection? Yes, always. Even more important than the balance sheet and the income statement, financial projections. Because even with that, let me say to you, there are some businesses that want to register from ABST from the get-go. ABST allows you up to, I think, a year for you to decide whether you have made at the threshold, which is 300,000 if you're in a regular business. If you are a professional and accountant, you must register based on your profession. And if you're doing like a Airbnb, booking.com kind of accommodation, again, too, you register based on the mode of operation. So there are some businesses, because they're going to be doing a lot of capital expenditure in the beginning, they want to register for ABST from the get-go because they want to be able to reclaim. And if you're not registered, you cannot reclaim your ABST. It means that you're 15%, you can recover 15% from the government. If you want to register for ABST from the start, before you even start accepting a contract, before you start laying a block, you need to do a financial projection to prove to Inland Revenue that your business plan will generate sufficient money to take you over the 300,000 threshold within the first year. So the balance sheet may not be that important. I would say to you definitely the income statement, but the projection, which is like a cash forecast, that is, it is required. Right? So is the business overview? Yes. The business overview is a similar or same to the executive summary. Yes. So that was from Ms. Bamboo. Yes, that's it. So I've cleared all the questions.
Yes, there was one in the chat which I asked them to post, but they didn't. So let me read it. It was, can downsizing or reducing the scope of services still be profitable?
Yes, I remember it was, when was it? I think it was you I did it for, Marita. I think it was something with ACB. And I actually gave an example where there was a company that had several different departments, several different products. And when they didn't analyze their products, they didn't analyze their products or their departments separately. So they knew, well, heck, I'm making $10, my cost of $5, I'm making $5. But when they started analyzing separately, what they realized is that there was one particular product was a loss maker and was pulling from the others. So there's sometimes where downsizing may be the key. I think I spoke earlier about expansion. I mean, I've seen like at the Publica, I assume, I don't know because I'm not the auditor, I'm not the accountant, but if you look at, say, Food City expanded and they bought Food Emporium and they had ADP, which is where Twist is now in the old Jews building. And I don't think that expansion was a good idea. I don't think as well, even maybe Bargain Center. I mean, I don't know, their forte was the hardware store. Then they expanded from the hardware store, they went to the supermarket, and then they were at Tyrrell's, they had All Saints and their thing, and then they're into real estate and whatever not. And I think they extended and expanded too quickly, and they expanded outside of their resources. So sometimes you have to actually do the math, and when you're going too fast, before you get into too deep a hole, you say stop, plug it up, take a loss, and step back just to be able to survive. So sometimes downsizing is the difference between failing and actually surviving.
Understood. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So if there are no more questions, I would just like to remind everyone that we're going to post on the ACB Caribbean YouTube channel by the end of the week, the recording of this presentation. And then I just wanted to encourage you to follow ACB Caribbean on social media. A lot of updates and real-time information is posted there. Our website, acbonline.com, is more of a library of where we store information about our services and products and fees and so on. But on our social media pages, we can be a little bit more dynamic and be more responsive. So that's the place to get all the latest news, basically. So please like and follow us. We've also recently launched a presence on LinkedIn as well, which is also a great resource for business information, tips, success stories, failure stories. It's just a very useful network. So you can keep in touch with your peers and see what's happening within the industry. And this is particularly relevant, obviously, for budding entrepreneurs or existing SMEs. So on that note, I just wanted to move into the vote of thanks to say, you know, a massive thank you to our presenter. It is always a pleasure. Your presentations are entertaining, and you know, an hour and a half has gone by, and I feel like we could hear more. So thank you so much.
No problem. And Marita, I posted, there was a question, I think well, Kadisha asked that question. I see somebody is asking about the US $40. So I posted a link in the chat, so get it before the site close.
Great, so please go into that chat before we close, because quite a few of you asked about that business plan. So it's there. And I wanted to also say thank you to our IT department, as usual, for the support in the background. You know, our employees for spreading the word, and our marketing team, you know, in particular, Nadine McDavid Street, who did a lot of work in the background to help promote this and get the word out there and create the graphics and so on. So we appreciate that. And then without further ado, somebody's saying they're not seeing the link. Scroll back up in the chat.
Let me
it's there.
post it again.
Just gonna post it quickly before we close. Yeah, it's right. Oh, you know what, Cassandra, you're posting to hosts and panelists, so change it to everyone.
Ah, I didn't even notice that.
Thank you, Shanice, and everyone else who said you're not seeing it. Great, so you should have it now. So I'll just give you a couple of minutes or a minute or two to cut and paste that before we close off. And while we're giving you that minute, I just, you know, wanted to remind everybody the pandemic is still going on. We're still being affected in different ways. And in this petting season, please be careful. It has had a massive impact on my life. So I'm hoping you all Remain safe and continue, have a good time, but just remember, be cautious, wash your hands, wear your mask, so thank you so much for joining us today, and please have a great carnival season and be safe, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you again.